So like I said in the last user suggested video, or subscriber suggested video I should say, there were a lot of comments on that one particular post that really piqued my interest and that I thought would be great video ideas. So until I finished some of those, and I think I have like maybe 3 or 4 more comments other than this video to go over, I won't really be posting the suggested polls anymore, just because I want to get through those first. And like I said, they were really good ideas that you guys provided, so I'm gonna chop through those as quickly as I can while still making it a quality product, and then we're gonna get back to me posting either a question or a poll. But once again, thank you to you guys. This one is, of course, as the title says, 5 reasons to get excited for the 2020 New York Giants. This was commented by Jack Latch. Let's just get into it. So while I was actually making this vid, I realized that there's quite a bit more than 5 reasons to be excited for this team, but I also came across reasons that we should be worried for the team. So if you want to see that also, put down below. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is immediately the offensive line. It's no secret that the Giants in the past 10 years or so have always struggled with offensive line and offensive linemen, whether they try to fix it in the draft or free agency. We always give crap to Jerry Reese, and rightfully so. Reese was a terrible general manager, but he did in some ways try to fix the offensive line through the draft, and it did not work out. But it seems like to me that Gettleman in the past 3 years that he's been the GM of the New York Giants, he has tried just as much, if not more, than Jerry Reese, and he's had more success than him when it comes to fixing this offensive line. We could start all the way back to 2018 when Gettleman first came on. He signed Nate Solder, who at the time was the best right tackle on the market, left tackle I should say. He's on my mind as a right tackle right now, as I'll talk about a little bit later on in this segment. But at the time, Solder was the best left tackle on the market. Did we overpay? Yes. Was there a choice in overpaying? Not really. You needed the best offensive line on the market, and when you have a terrible O-line, you overpay to fix it in free agency. That's just what happens. He then drafted Will Hernandez, a really good guard, and in my opinion, one of the star guards of the league, if not right now, but in the future, maybe even this coming season. Will Hernandez, the left guard, was a solid pickup. But the center position did struggle, and even to this day is continuing to flounder and struggle. And the right guard and right tackle positions were not fixed until later on. Right guard was the next year, in the next year's offseason, 2019, in the Olivier Vernon Kevin Zeitler trade, in which the Giants received Kevin Zeitler, who at the time, and still is as of today, a lot of people don't like it, or a lot of people refuse to admit it because maybe they just hate on the Giants, but Kevin Zeitler is one of the best guards in the entire NFL. In my opinion, he was a top 5 guard when he came here, and last year he performed like a top 7, maybe even still at a top 5 level. Did decrease a little bit, but that once again is because the Cleveland Browns offensive line that he came from was better than the Giants line that he ended up with, and also because of age. But Kevin Zeitler is one of the best offensive linemen period in the NFL, and he's the Giants right guard right now. Right tackle, like I said, I want Nate Solder to be our right tackle this year because I want our rookie offensive tackle that we took 4th overall pick in the 2020 draft, Andrew Thomas, to be starting at left tackle, because I think eventually he's going to go over there anyway. Even if that doesn't happen, we have a stellar right tackle now to help protect Daniel Jones and block for Saquon Barkley. And the offensive line as of right now, and I'm not really going to gush over about Andrew Thomas so much because viewers of the channels, I think you guys have kind of gotten over me gushing over him every time I mention his name. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to keep it quick. I think he was the best offensive tackle in the class. If not, you got one of the best offensive tackles in the class, and he's definitely the best run blocker, so that's going to work a lot for run game while still being a stellar pass blocker. So right away, you got 4 out of the 5 positions on the team, or I should say on the line, fixed. Solder is an average tackle. That's why we kind of hate on him, because he's getting paid like a top 5 tackle, but he's very much average. He's not as good as he should be, but I think once shifting him over to the right side, that's going to help him out a bit. And the center position is really the only one we still need to figure out. But you don't really need it, because you don't need 5 out of 5 great people all across the line to have a great offensive line. You need a good offensive line. I think the Giants have one now. Even if they don't, they have a potential center in Shane Lemieux that might be coming up also from the draft. And they also have a veteran starter who is not a starter-worthy player, but he will be playing between 2 good tackles in Zeitler Hernandez and Spencer Pulley. So the next reason the Giants should be excited, and their fans really should be excited for the Giants, I should say. And it kind of ties into the offensive line one, is Saquon Barkley. We got Saquon Barkley returning, and he's healthy. Now then, if you've been an NFL fan for the past 2 years, you definitely know who Saquon Barkley is. If you don't, you've definitely been living under a rock. Saquon, in his rookie year when he came into the league's second overall pick, blew the NFL away. We all had great expectations from him, but he completely exceeded them, giving us 2,000 scrimmage yards, being one of only 3 running backs in the history of the NFL to eclipse that in their rookie year. 1,300 rushing yards, 700 receiving. Was both a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in his rookie year, and also won the Rookie of the Year award at that running back position. Came in and immediately one-handedly fixed the Giants' running game. People do forget the reason the Giants were even considering taking Barkley in the first place was because the year before, in 2017, they had one of the worst running games in the entire league. And basically since 2010 or 2011, the Giants' running game has been dead. They had a little bit of, sparks here and there with like David Wilson and whatnot, but overall, from 2011 to 2017, the Giants did not have any running game, which is why they took Barkley, and he did fix it, even with a terrible offensive line. Once again, 2018, bottom-ranked offensive line. Saquon still did all of that. Still won Rookie of the Year. Still got 1,300 plus yards rushing. Still got 700 yards receiving. 2019, he came in. Everybody was expecting either a similar or even better year. Unfortunately, injury hit. And this was something surprising because Saquon Barkley had never gotten injury in his career up until that point. Not just NFL, but also college and high school. Saquon went down in week 3 against the Bucs with a high ankle sprain, where it's projected to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, but he came back in 3 weeks, which kind of speaks to how much of a monster of a man he is. But we did see humanity in him, because when he came back, he was not the same. He was definitely playing a little bit injured, and Saquon didn't really get back to his old self until about week 14 or week 15, and that definitely affected his performance. Yet the guy still somehow managed to get 1,000 rushing yards and 400 receiving yards, still proving that he's one of the best running backs in the league even when injured. And now Saquon is coming back this year healthy and with a better offensive line, as I alluded to with the first reason for the Giants being, fans being excited for the Giants. And this is his best offensive line that he's ever had since coming on the New York Giants. I think it's the best offensive line he'll ever have, even comparing it with his Penn State days, because Penn State didn't really have that good of an O-line. Saquon was kind of used to having to dodge tackles in the backfield coming into the NFL. This is going to be by far the best setup he's had in years. And the new coordinator, Jason Garrett, who, as we all know, loves to run the football. Just look at Dallas. They put a heavy emphasis on their offensive line, and they use it. They run Ezekiel Elliott into the ground, and even running backs and running back groups before him, Dallas was always a run-first team. The Giants the past 2 years were not run-first teams. They were that West Coast style of offense that relied on the pass and the horizontal passing game more. Saquon is going to be used a lot more this year, and that's only going to be good things for his production. Next up, reason number 3 you should be excited for the 2020 New York Giants is that they have a young defense chock full of potential. Keyword being potential. But hey man, we're sports fans in a drought right now, so we'll take what we can get. Well, let's talk about the Giants defense. First of all, last year and the year before, they were, couple of the worst defenses in the NFL, period. They always ranked in the bottom 10. Just this previous year, I think they were something like 23rd overall, horrible in the pass, okay in the run, and their best part of their defense was without a doubt the defensive line. And I do think the Giants have one of the better defensive lines in the league. You got Dexter Lawrence, who was, and I'll get into him soon, Dexter Lawrence, who was one of the best rookie defensive linemen in the league. No, actually, he was the best rookie defensive lineman in the league. You got Dalvin Tomlinson, a super underrated pure nose tackle, and Leonard Williams, somebody that has yet to prove himself on this Giants squad as a versatile player, but as a run stuffer like Dalvin Tomlinson is amazing, and he does get pressure on the quarterback, as he was, double teamed 62% of the time, so teams know that they have to take care of Leonard Williams. And that right there, those trio makes up one of the best defensive lines in the league. Of course, a 3-4 defensive line. They then went into this offseason and they needed to improve pass rush, they needed to improve their middle linebacking core, and they need to improve the secondary. And the Giants did try to hit on all of those. The pass rush, in my opinion, has not been fixed, but they did try and do so. Of course, we got the young guys in Carter and Zemenez behind there at the outside linebacker position. Marcus Golden, who they put a unrestricted free agent tender on, I think, might end up back on the Giants, a 10-sack player from last year. I do think he's a good pass rusher. He might be back. but let's say that he doesn't. They went out and signed Kyler Fackrell on a similar deal to Marcus Golden. I do not have as much faith in Fackrell as I do in Golden, which is why I still say that the pass rush still needs to be fixed. So that's one thing they tried to address. Not sure how it's going to work out. They did, in my opinion, successfully address the middle linebacking position, because last year they had a dude in Ryan Conley that showed a lot of flashes that if he could stay healthy could be a starter for the team, but they still went out and got Blake Martinez, one of the best tackling linebackers in the league, not much in terms of coverage. Then again, when Patrick Graham, the new defensive coordinator, was the linebackers coach for Martinez in 2018, he had by far his best coverage year, and also the Packers misused Martinez's talents, which he admitted while he was in Green Bay. So with a coach that knows how to use him properly and that can get the best out of him in the passing game, I think Martinez could be a really good middle linebacker for the Giants. And even if he's not good in the passing game, we're going to have a tackling machine. Somebody that people forget that was a tackling machine and was a good middle linebacker for the Giants was Antonio Pierce. A lot of people say he was the last good middle linebacker for the Giants. People do forget he was really just good in the run game, didn't do too much in the pass, and why can't Blake Martinez be that for us? Talking about the secondary, of course, Giants have spent a lot of draft capital the past 2 years on the secondary. In 2018, they took Sam Beal in the supplemental draft. 2019, they took Julian Love, DeAndre Baker, Corey Ballantyne, 3 cornerbacks, with Baker being a first-round pick that they traded up for. And in 2020, they took Darnay Holmes and Chris Williamson, along with free safety, who was supposed to be a first-round pick but dropped into the second, an absolute steal for the Giants, Xavier McKinney. So all in all, that entire secondary over there is very, very young. They're only in their 3rd year at most, but most of them are in their 2nd or 1st years. And there's just a lot of bodies back there with a lot of potential. And then they also signed James Bradberry this past free agency on a pretty good deal. Bradberry was definitely the 2nd best cornerback out there, the best being Byron Jones, at least according to some people. And Jones went for a crazy contract over in Miami, I believe. But James Bradberry, since entering the league, has been a super underrated corner by everybody. He's a guy that matched up with guys like Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, and Mike Evans down there in the NFC South and performed admirably against them. The numbers when comparing passing rating towards James Bradberry in the NFC South when he's guarding these guys versus when he isn't, there is quite a difference. And he is, in my opinion, a top 15 cornerback in the league. Definitely a number 1 starter. I'm not going to say he's a great number 1, but he's a good number 1 starter. And with a new defense, as I've alluded to before, one that misused DeAndre Baker, our first-round pick last year. Baker is a press and man corner who did most of his damage in college and performed so admirably that he did give up a touchdown his last year there at Georgia. He was used in the man press. He's not that good in zone, and he doesn't have the speed really to work in that zone coverage, which are definitely things he needs to improve upon. But you can't have the coach out there using you at your weakest points and expect success. Baker was set up for failure last year. This year, I believe he will be used correctly, more so in the man and press situations. And on the slot corner position, we really got like 3 dudes that are competing for the spot right now, in Grant Haley, Julian Love, and Darnay Holmes. Darnay Holmes, of course, the pick this year, a rookie, one of the smartest, if not the smartest players coming out of the NFL draft with a lot of potential, a whole bunch of speed. And Julian Love, somebody out of last year's draft that was considered one of the best sleeper corners. We'll see who gets that job there, but it's all about potential, and it's definitely good reason to be excited, because if this secondary works out, we will have one of the strongest secondaries in the league with all the guys that we have back there and what their ceilings are. Before I move on to the next reason, one thing you've noticed I've stated in the past too was the new coaching staff. And I didn't really want to make this its own reason to be excited because it kind of overlaps everything. I guess you could count it in your mind if you want to. But the new coaching staff is definitely something to be excited for. Now then, the 4th reason why you should be excited for the Giants in 2020, it was the performance of the 2019 rookies. The Giants' 2019 draft class has slowly turned out to be one of the best out of any teams last year. Originally, when it happened, a lot of people hated on it. A lot of people did not give it a chance. People were saying, oh my God, Gelman has actually, gone crazy. What a downstep from the 2018 class. But now looking back on it with a season of play under their belts, it's definitely better in my opinion than the 2018 draft class, which was something hard to live up to. You're looking just in the 1st round. Daniel Jones, of course, we all know the story. He shouldn't have been picked 6th overall. Came out and turned out to be one of the best rookie quarterbacks, if not the best rookie quarterback in the league. Then you got Dexter Lawrence, came out and became the best defensive rookie in the league, no matter which way you look at it, which way you slice it or dice it. And at the time, people were saying, why would you take a nose tackle? Dude is not just a nose tackle. Then you look at DeAndre Baker. Now, this one did not get criticism, surprisingly. People praised the pick, but he was one of them. It was kind of the opposite. Did not live up to the number 30 overall selection. Had a bad rookie year. But like I said earlier, this was more due to coaching than anything in my opinion. And I do think he could bounce back. But DeAndre Baker did not live up to his pick as of right now. He has the potential to. Third round, O'Shane Ximines. Another third round pass rusher, but did show flashes in his limited time last year. He only played 45% of the defensive snaps, yet still amassed 4.5 sacks. Got quite a bit of QB pressures and QB hits. Ximines is definitely somebody with potential to look out for, a power rusher from a small school, something Giants fans are familiar with, small school rushers coming onto the league and having a good impact. You go into the 5th round where I think they had their best value picks with 2 players, Ryan Connelly and Darius Slayton. Connelly, small sample size admittedly, but that small sample size was amazing things. And if he can stay healthy and produce like he did during those 4 weeks where he was actually healthy and playing for the Giants, we have a stud in Ryan Connelly. And even if he doesn't do that, he's just an average middle linebacker. That's an average middle linebacker that you found in the 5th round. That's still amazing value. People really do think it's easy to find these guys. It's not. And Darius Slayton, a potential number 1 receiver, as of right now, still a number 2, but with high potential to be a number 1 receiver. Great outside threat. When he was drafted in the 5th round, that's where he belonged, but the Giants worked on him. Dave Gettleman saw something. Tyke Tolberg worked on his hands, and Darius Slayton absolutely broke out in his rookie season, having a nice tandem with Daniel Jones, and somebody, once again, deep threat receiver, really speedy, one of the faster receivers in the league, and he has safe hands now thanks to Tyke Tolberg. Darius Slayton was an absolute steal, and I don't know why he's not considered one of the best rookie wide receivers last year. Of course, you got guys like DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, but you're not hearing the name Darius Slayton thrown in there. And of course, I've talked about Julian Love and Corey Ballantyne a little bit before this, but the performance from all these guys, and almost all of them were starters at one point. Right off the top of my head, the 5 that I listed in DJ, Dexter Lawrence, DeAndre Baker, Darius Slayton, Ryan Connelly, they were all starters for the team. At one point, Julian Love started a little bit later on, but Corey Ballantyne was kind of a special teamer. And as rookies, they all started and they all performed well. With a year under your belt, with a year of experience now, with another offseason under your belt, I could only expect them to improve, especially on the offensive side with Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton. Better offensive line. That's only going to help out your offense, as I said before. It's going to help out your run game, which I talked about with the second reason, which is going to help you out. On the defensive side, going back to them being young and hungry and the better coaching staff, I expect them to improve. The team overall is young, but their rookies from last year is something that is very underrated and can really impact this team and how it goes forward. And I expect nothing but good things from them because they proved to be some of the best rookies in the league last year. And finally, the last reason, but certainly not least, the 5th reason to be excited for the New York Giants in 2020 is Daniel Jones. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't speak much about him in the last one, talking about the rookie performances, is because he had to get his own category, man. Daniel Jones just proved all the haters wrong, proved all the doubters wrong, came in and said, just watch me play. That's what he did. The amazing debut against Tampa Bay, but that wasn't where it ended. He continued to have what was very much a rookie year. It had its ups, it had its downs. But for the most part, he improved as the season went on and ended out with the 3,000-yard season, 61.9% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Of course, 18 fumbles, which is not something good. You need to fix that. And he has been working on that in the offseason with 11 of them recovered last year. Daniel Jones was one of the best, if not the best rookie quarterbacks last year. The only person that I think even comes close is Kyler Murray, but I still think that Jones had a better season than Murray. I think if you give Murray the stats that Daniel Jones had, everybody would be raving about him. People aren't raving about Kyler Murray. Yes, he got the Rookie of the Year award, the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, but you ain't seen nobody getting hype over him. You know why? It's because he was very much, the standard quarterback last year, did what he had to. He looked like a game manager last year. Who knows if that could change? That's a video for another day. But DJ, man, had a stellar rookie season, and in the offseason, what is he doing? Only improving both on and off the field, to have an even better second year. He's trying to avoid that sophomore slump. You talk about adding 9 pounds of muscle, not only to help with the fumbling issues, but to also be stronger at the point of contact, as he is a mobile quarterback. He can move if need be. He's not trying to get injured, not trying to end up like what would happen with Cam Newton when he was released and was on the market for so long. You talk about being a better leader, organizing practices in this weird time of the offseason in the NFL with, you know, COVID just taking over things, and he's organizing practices, getting players down here to continue to working with his old coach and David Cutcliffe to help improve throwing angles and throwing trajectories, stuff that I don't even know about down there in Duke to help him improve. Talk about calling Colt McCoy, calling Jason Garrett, calling Tony Romo, people that worked with the new offense he's going to be in, just so that he can get to know what's going on, so he can get to the, you know, hit the ground running and just get to be a better quarterback sooner rather than later. DJ, you look at what he's did in his rookie season with the weapons that he had, because a lot of them were injured. He did not play with Saquon, Ingram, Shepard, Tate, and Slayton all on the field at the same time at one point during the season last year. Hopefully that changes this year. Hopefully, but also dude got sacked so much last year with a bad offensive line. Reason number 1, better offensive line, that's only going to help him. Reason number 2, Saquon Barkley, running game, only going to help him. The reason that you guys could count, better coaching, that's only going to help him. Daniel Jones is the franchise quarterback, and all signs point to him not only improving, but having a great year next year. That's why you should be excited. And I don't like to say this because football is a team sport, but the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and the Giants have a quarterback that's going to have a great supporting staff with him. And that's reason enough to be excited. So that's what I got for y'all today. Once again, somehow, some way, it ended up over being, you know, an over 20-minute video. So I'm going to make this short. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.